Hey guys, this is a quick little video that I had shot a while back of me tearing down Project LT250r. If you guys remember, it was originally a roller, and then for the sake of you guys, I chose to tear it down and then rebuild it from the ground up, just to kind of show you guys the as much of the process as I could. Again, if you guys appreciate that, why don't you go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, do all that fun stuff. But anyways, here's a little teardown video. Make sure when you go to remove this upper ball joint from the spindle, you leave this nut on the ball joint threads about flush, or maybe a little past flush. So that way when you hit like this, you don't damage the threads. If you leave this nut on, you can't damage the threads. If you take it off, it's basically assured that you will damage the threads. And then you'll have to spend a bunch of time with a file or a grinder or something trying to undo your mistake, or you might just have to get a new ball joint altogether. So just make sure you leave that nut on when you go to remove that. When you take off shocks, go ahead and put the bolts back into the eyelets of the shock, and that way you can't lose these spacers. If you don't do that, you will almost assuredly lose those spacers. When you want to get off that darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. It's the same story when it comes to really anything with a spacer. These A-arms are Heim joint A-arms, and they've got spacers in them. So go ahead and put the spacers on the bolts, put the bolts back in, and then cinch it all up with the nut. So that way you don't lose your spacers. Another great thing about these Pit Posse ATV and dirt bike stands is these little U-bolt anchor points, and usually you tie them onto the foot peg and you can anchor your project down to the stand, which is really handy to make sure it doesn't rock around and stuff like that. I actually got this thing on backwards. There we go. So now it's all lined up, and I will go ahead and anchor these to the frame. Well, in theory at least. Be very careful when taking these steering stem clamp bolts out, because on the back side, they're supposed to have cotter pins or little clips like this in them. And if you don't know that, you'll run them out, and then you'll end up running the cotter pins through the nut that's welded to the back side, or you'll just end up stripping out the nut really bad or something. So bad things will happen. Just make sure that you take your gas tank off first, and then you come behind it and you check to see if there's cotter pins or not. There's supposed to be cotter pins, so if there's not, then in reassembly, put them back in there. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know if you've learned anything from these videos, if you already knew everything that was in the videos, if you just like watching them. If you've got a quad racer, if you want to get a quad racer, if you hate quad racers, let me know. But regardless, I appreciate you guys watching. Until next time.